I don't know about you guys, but there are certain sounds that just give me the absolute chills. And one of those sounds is when someone is outside your window tapping on it or knocking on your door in the middle of the night. I mean, who does that and why? Well, in today's video, we're going to be discussing 3 very scary true someone as outside horror stories. So let's get started. The first story comes from Reddit user the_dreaded_pickle. I was home alone at around 4 a.m. and I heard what sounded like screams in the forest behind my house. I live deep in the woods, so this wasn't unusual. However, this time they sounded like they were rigged to outside my bedroom window. I ignored it and went back to sleep. Then I heard heavy footsteps on my roof. Naturally, I was freaked out sitting in bed not knowing what was up there. Then I heard what sounded like hail for about 10 seconds, followed by heavy footsteps near my front door. I screamed and threw a pillow at the door, thinking it was my crazy neighbor who I had just had an argument with the day before. I didn't even think he could be so bold as to break into my house while I was home. After a few moments, the commotion outside the house stopped and I never heard anything else. In the morning after, of course, I slept with the lights on. I checked my security cameras and found nothing. No footprints in the yard, nothing on the roof, no signs of forced entry, and the neighbor said he hadn't been anywhere near my house. To this day, I still have no idea what that was. It has been over a year and I still jump at the sound of any footsteps on my roof. I don't know if it's a raccoon or something, but damn, it sure sounded real and it sure sounded angry. Yeah, rightfully so. I would also be freaking out if I heard heavy footsteps on my roof in the middle of the night. That doesn't sound normal to me at all. I'm sorry you have such an awful neighbor. I hope whatever it was leaves you alone going forward. But I can only imagine how terrifying it must have been for you sitting in your room, not knowing what was up there. And then it came to your door, and you literally threw a pillow at it. That's insane. Glad you're okay. Our next story comes from another Reddit user. One night I was awoken by what sounded like screams in the forest behind our home. My wife and I looked at each other, shrugged and went back to sleep. About 15 minutes later, I heard what sounded like screams right outside our bedroom window. I sat up in bed and listened. All I could hear was the wind. Still freaked out, I got up and went to check all the windows and doors. Everything was locked and the window was closed. I went back to bed and laid down next to my wife, who was now awake. We talked for a few minutes about how weird that noise was. Then we both tried to go back to sleep. About 10 minutes later, we both heard what sounded like screams right outside our window again. Now we're both freaked out sitting in bed not knowing what was out there. Then we started hearing what sounded like heavy footsteps on our roof. We started yelling and making tons of noise and the commotion outside the house stopped. When we checked outside in the morning, we found lots of little pebbles that were not there the evening before. Whoever or whatever was out there had apparently thrown small pebbles at our window. Yeah, that's not normal. Whoever or whatever was out there knew exactly when you would be vulnerable, which is kind of creepy. Glad you have each other to rely on during these scary moments. That's a good thing. Our final story comes from another Reddit user. This happened many years ago in an old house in Indiana. During the winter, my girlfriend and I were watching TV in the living room. It was late, maybe 2 or 3 in the morning. The house is big with rooms on either side of the living room, separated by double doors. The doors were slightly ajar with the exception of a 2-inch gap. Suddenly, we heard a loud bang from the other side of the house. Assuming it was mice or an animal, we paid it no mind. Several minutes later, we heard more banging and heavy footsteps coming closer to the living room. I told my girlfriend to come see. As the footsteps approached, the banging became more frantic. My girlfriend and I started screaming bloody murder at the top of our lungs. The commotion outside the room slowly came to a halt. In the morning, after, of course, sleeping in separate rooms, we investigated. There was no sign of any intrusion. Nothing was damaged or disturbed. Even the doorknob on the closet door was intact. And that closet leads to the attic. Yes, the closet was locked, but the door was not nailed shut. Since then, that closet door has never been left open. Yeah, well, don't leave any doors open at night. That's just asking for trouble. Although the scariest part of your story is that the banging became more frantic when you started screaming. That means whoever or whatever it was, it knew you were in there and it knew that you were scared. Creepy. That was the end of part 5. 3 very scary true someone's outside horror stories. And if you like this series, let me know by giving this video a thumbs up. Also, make sure to subscribe for more videos like these. Until next time, don't forget, I love you.